In this video, we will be demonstrating the Papilio pre-approval process for employee submission. From your Papilio homepage, you'll see a checkmark button for the pre-approval. This requires quotes for high-cost expenses to help beeliners efficiently follow their travel and expense guidelines. Expenses requiring pre-approval are the high-cost travel expenses of flights and hotel stays. Flights and hotels are subject to cost thresholds, and anything that exceeds these cost thresholds will be submitted for approval to the employee's direct supervisor prior to purchase. For today's example, we will submit pre-approval quotes for travel arrangements found for a trip from June 7th to 9th. Select the green checkmark button to create a new pre-approval request, and you'll have two options. We'll first begin with flight by choosing plane and pressing the Create button. The top of the flight form, you'll first need to choose between one-way and round trip. And next you must enter your travel path. Choose your departure and arrival city by either scrolling through the options, or you may begin typing the city and make your selection once it appears. After the departure and arrival cities have been chosen, you have the option to input a layover or additional cities if you're not returning to the original departure city. This field is optional. Next, you'll use the calendar buttons to choose the departure and return dates for the flights. In the description field, list the airline and the reason for your travel. Finally, you'll enter the trip cost. Note that the cost threshold is available for comparison, and remember that if your quote is under the threshold, the request will automatically approve. Finally, scroll to the top and press the Save and Submit button, and you'll be prompted to validate that you're ready to submit. Press OK to return to the status screen. We can see that our plane request has been approved because it was below the cost threshold. Press the Add New Pre-Approval button to submit the hotel accommodations quote. Choose Hotel and press the Create button to open up a hotel form. First, use the calendar fields to choose your check-in and check-out dates. The form will then auto-populate the number of nights of the stay. Next, select the city for your stay and the cost threshold will appear. Note that the cost threshold only appears after you choose the city, as some cities have different thresholds. In the description field, you'll need to type the name of your hotel and the reason for your stay. Finally, enter the total amount of your stay and the form will automatically determine the cost per night. Scroll to the top and press the Save and Submit button, then hit OK to validate you're ready to submit. Once again, we're at the status screen. You'll see approvals for all submissions within the cost guidelines, and if a submission has exceeded the cost guidelines, it will be sent for approval to your supervisor. Once airfare or hotel requests are approved, please purchase them immediately to avoid an increase in rates. Pre-approval also makes it easy to submit hotel and airfare expenses for reimbursement. Create a new expense report, and from the new expense report, locate the correct expense category. Hotel and airfare will automatically have an Import Pre-Approval button. Press this button and all approved options will appear. Press the plus sign to add the relevant choice, and previously entered information will automatically populate. You'll complete the remaining fields per usual and then submit your report. So what happens if you have incurred an expense for a pre-approval required category but did not submit a pre-approval form prior to payment? Let's see how the system distinguishes this kind of violation in the coming scenario. In this form, you will see the user selects a date that is prior to today's date. In this date range, they are telling the system they have already paid for this hotel stay. Once the user completes the form, they will press Save and Submit, and they will be prompted to explain why this pre-approval form was not submitted prior to the expense. Comments for the reason are required, and then press OK to save and submit. At the status screen, a flashing red exclamation point will highlight the violation. This same alert shows with the supervisor status screen. Multiple violations could result in corrective action, so please do your best to follow the correct procedure.